When someone introduces you to their family, they usually start with a few general niceties, maybe a caution about the cousin who isn't quite playing with a full deck. With my family, it's different. An introduction to the McWiffle family begins with a slew of dire warnings. When you're around the McWiffles, you must be aware of all exits, identify nearby fire extinguishers, and strongly consider bringing a helmet. Hard lessons learned from the trenches. When the McWiffles are together, pray for the best, but expect utter catastrophe. I could start at the beginning and tell you about my uncle's month-long eating challenge, which called for a last-minute burger stop on the way to the hospital. I came into this world right there, in the back of the old Pontiac. Somehow, it didn't hurt the resale value one dime. Turns out, Dad wasn't exactly a master in the ways of midwifery. So to this day, I have a weird-looking belly button. I would make it to the hospital on dozens of other occasions during my childhood, though.
You ready?
Like that time some years later when Uncle Tony and Uncle Mike staged a series of laundry basket time trials.
Here we go! Faster! Faster!
But Uncle Mike got carried away with the Vaseline on the stairs. Well, 2 broken ankles ended what might have otherwise been a promising track and field career. But the story that stands out the most, the pinnacle of McWiffleness in my early childhood, the story that will live on in the hearts and minds of every individual unfortunate enough to have witnessed it, was the year the McWiffles were put in charge of the annual Christmas pageant. You see, the Wapatog Church was the pride of our community. And every year, the whole town gathered for the annual Christmas pageant. This was traditionally a quaint, modest affair with all the classes. Cute kids dressed in beards and bathrobes, sing-along carols, cardboard manger, your standard run-of-the-mill merriment. This year would be better than ever because I, Brandon McWiffle, was cast as the star of the show. Literally, I was going to be the North Star. The lights would come up, music would swell, and all eyes would gaze up in wonder as I was lowered from the rafters. And then finally, she would notice me. Janie Jacobs. The most perfect of all the second grade girls, of all the elementary schools, and all the world.
Hi, Brandon.
But then, disaster struck. They made Mom the director.
It will be bigger and better than ever before.
Mom had big ideas, a lot of them. This was going to be more than a pageant. This was going to be a pageganza. And to pull it off, she planned to recruit the whole family. There was Dad, the mad scientist of DIY engineering. Stu, a nationally ranked birthday party magician.
The stupendous Stu does it again. Ta-da!
Aunt Gertie, a self-proclaimed pig whisperer.
Come on, gang.
Uncle Mike, who is constantly trying to redeem a state title game of 76.
I'm gonna get him this time! No! Come here, piggy!
Uncle Larry, who is stuck in the summer of 69.
Hey, Chili Willy.
And Uncle Tony. The best and only stuntman in Wapatog County. As always, when this group got together, it was certain to be a complete disaster. But when the big day finally came, everything surprisingly went off without a hitch.
What are you even doing? Are you trying to ruin Christmas? Your sign doesn't even make sense. Not everything needs a protest.
I mean, sure, Uncle Mike wasn't exactly embodying the jolly spirit of Old St.
I
Nick.
swear I'll take that sign.
And Uncle Larry's protest seemed a little convoluted.
Feeling some negative vibes here.
But Dad's Pageganza machine was showing great promise.
Dolly.
Gertie was having some trouble with her animals, but she assured us that she was able to lock up the most troublesome. Sure, Tony probably could have chosen a less flammable room to gas up his motor arc. And perhaps one where the almighty Stoos wasn't shooting firebolts. But no one had to call the fire department that day. So things seemed to be going well. I'm not sure if Grandma and Grandpa were confused about the time of year, or if they just misheard nativity scene. But, man, did my star costume look awesome. Mom was in rare form that night. Everything was triple checked and seemed ready to go.
Okay, here we go.
Now, what happened next is a family controversy to this day. Maybe it was the intensity of Uncle Mike's pre-show pump-up speech. And some say it was Uncle Larry's Hendrix-inspired rendition of Jingle Bells. Others still blame Tony's backstage burnouts. Whatever the cause, Gertie's biggest, meanest, most ornery pig got mad. Real mad. Well, that pig ran right through a locked door like it was nothing. Uncle Mike, still living down that title game, just had to prove he could finally make a tackle. Then, Larry's half-baked protest led to a real bad trip. And Tony proved that the bar for best stuntman in Wapatak was pretty low. Of course, Dad's jerry-rigging contraption didn't meet even the lowest expectations of safety. And you would think that his years of magical training would have helped him make some great escape, but his stupendous Stu panicked. As I made eye contact with Stu in the split second before he jumped, I realized that this was going to go horribly wrong. Because I had a secret. And unfortunately for me and the entire town of Wapatak, that fateful day was Laundry Day. Well, that was one way to get Janie's attention. Yep, utter catastrophe. A complete disaster. After no fewer than 3 elderly women fainted 15 minutes to get me down.
This is not ideal.
The Great Christmas Pagetastrophe. The coup de grace of McWiffle Whiffs. Brought to you by the craziest family this side of the Mississippi. So here's one more dire warning to add to that list. When you're on stage with the McWiffles, always wear underwear.